top 10 customer based on order amount. Okay, so for this we'll again select star from customer, and because we want top 10 customer, I'll first sort the data based on order amount. Okay, so see how I'm sorting that. So I'll use a function called order by total order amount and descending. Okay, so when you use order by, we have to specifically mention descending, that is DESC, because by default it takes ascending. Okay, we can specifically mention ascending, or if you don't mention also, it will sort it based on ascending. Okay, so if I run this part, see how the output is. So we got all the data, and as you can see, the customer with the maximum amount is basically the first row, and so we have sorted the data based on the order amount, and we want top 10 customer. Okay, so once you use order, we'll use limit function. So limit 10. All right, so if I run this, we got the top 10 customers. So first we sorted the data using order by, and then we have used a limit function to get the top 10 customers. Now the next question is customer whose name starts with letter A. Okay, I'll just print the entire customer data for reference. Okay, we got the entire customer data. So we need the customer whose name starts with letter A. So as you can see, we have a customer name column. So we have all the customer name here. So we want the data for the customer whose name starts with letter A. Okay, so this is little interesting. See how I solve this question. So from customers, select star. So what select star does is it gives the entire data, right? So it will select all the columns, and I'll use a function where. So where is basically used to filter data, because we want to filter the customer whose name starts with A, right? So where customer name, and see I use a function called like, right? So like, and I'll start a quote, a percentage, and end the quote. So I have used a function called like, and I have used a percentage. Okay, so if I run this part, see how the output will come as. So we got all the customers. I'll just expand it a bit. So we got all the customers. If you can see, all of these customers name is starting with A, right? So this is how you use like operator if you want something to start with. So the next question we have is, which brand has the highest average order amount? Again, this is a classic aggregation question. So I'll show you how to write that query. So from customers, we'll select brand, okay, and we'll use the AVG function. So average of total order amount as average order amount, okay, and we have used aggregate function. So you have to use a group by. So group by brand. All right. So if I just run this part, see how the output will come as. So you have all the brand, that 5 brands we have, and their average order. But the question was to find which brand has the highest average order amount, right? So we'll use the order by function. So order by the average order amount and descending, right? So if I run this part again, so we have sorted the brand based on the highest average order amount, right? So home kitchen has the highest order amount of 4,32,000, and the electronics brand has the lowest average order amount of 10,000. So we want only the highest brand. So I'll use a limit function. So limit 1, and this is the complete query. Okay, I'll run it again. Got it. So home kitchen is the brand with highest average order amount. Question is customers details who has maximum order amount in the data set. So while solving the top 10 customer, you saw we got the 10 rows, right? So here the question is to find the customer detail who has the maximum order amount. Okay, so I'll select from the customer table. So from customers, okay, so we'll select star so that we get the entire details, and we'll select where total order amount, because from the previous question we know the maximum order amount was 7389134, right? So if I just use this, right, see if I run this part, I'll get that customer details, right? But this is actually not the right way to write this query. So see how I write it. So equal to select max of total order amount from the customers. All right. So if I run this query, we'll get the output. So here we have not hard coded anything, right? And as you can see, we have used a query inside a bracket and we have used that for the master query. That's why it's called subquery. And now we'll solve a very interesting question that get asked in many interviews. So customer who have not answered any call in the dataset. Okay. So this might seem very simple that you'll use a where function, a call result is equal to not answered, right? But that is not the correct, because this table has call ID wise details, not customer ID details. So a customer can have 10 entries in the table and 2 entries can be not answered and 8 entries can be answered. So if you use just a where function, so the customer might have answered call in another entry, right? So that will be a wrong query to write. And now I'll show how to write that query. So from customer calls, so we'll select distinct customer ID, all right? And if you put a filter of where call result is equal to not answered, as I was explaining before, so this will print out all the customer who have not answered in any of the rows, but that is not the right query, right? Because those same customer can have answered in another row, right? So to get the actual output, so we'll put a AND condition and customer ID not in, okay? And I'll use a subquery and here I'll put select, I'll just copy paste this part, distance customer ID from customer calls, all right, where this entire part call result is equal to answered, right? So what we are doing is we are using a subquery, so that will give all the customer that has answered, and I am using a not in. So what we have done is the first condition gives us all the customer IDs where we have not answered, and the second condition exclude all the customer that is answered, and this is the right way to get the query.